All right, Steph, why don't you go first? Do you have anything in particular that you wanted to bring to group today?
Not really. All I'm really working on this week is I was reading More Than a Body, and so it was the part that I just read. It's still towards the beginning, but it's about media and even newscasters and like the whole diet and beauty industry, how targeted it is towards women. And I was aware of that, but it just really made me very aware of that to read over that. I just read that earlier today. That's all I've been working on this week. I just have had a busy week. So, and I got the new DVD, so I'm gonna try exercising again and try to make that part of my life.
Okay, great. Has anybody else read More Than a Body yet, or do y'all have any thoughts on that? Societal expectations of women, the beauty industry. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
I've read so many books at the beginning. I don't even remember if it was that one or not.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't know off the top of my head if I read it, but I wrote it down so I can check on it. If I haven't read it, I'll definitely buy it. Thank you for letting me know about the book.
It's one of the best body image reads, so I highly recommend it. And yeah, Steph, I can see that that's top of mind for you this week. I read your comments in the course, and a couple of them were around like just thinking about societal expectations that are placed specifically on women to be small and be beautiful. And so I think part of what it can help us cope and have peace in our bodies is to know that we don't owe beauty to anyone. We don't owe thinness to the world, right? I mean, first and foremost, we want to put your peace as top priority. What about now? Steph is gonna start potentially incorporating some movement, and I know you guys some of you have been there where you're slowly kind of getting back into movement and experimenting with some different types of movement that you might like to do, but you want to keep it like coming from a healthy place, right? And decoupling movement from weight loss. So I welcome any and all of your thoughts here.
I know that I've been trying to incorporate movement and not let it have me pitfall back into dieting, and it's really, really tough, especially now that it's summertime out, because I walk less outside, so I have to add something else, and I do a stationary bike. And unfortunately, when I'm having a bad just a bad self-image day, it's really hard not to go, well, if I just get on the bike, it's going to help. And it's unfortunately my mind it's going to help my body image as opposed to helping my mind just get those endorphins and feel better about myself, not better about my body. So I still struggle with it all the time. So good luck. I hope you find something you really like, because that's the hardest part, is finding something you like enough to want to keep doing it past that I've got it into my routine, and then it just slowly kind of peters off.
I think that was always an issue for me, is I would feel like I had to do certain exercises and certain things because those were the best at calorie, loss kind of things. And but if I went back in my history, I realized that I've always had this love for wanting to row. And so when I was in high school, I was interested in it, wanted to do it, but I always felt like I was too big. And then in college, I felt the same way. Well, my husband and I just invested in a really good rower, and it has really positive instructors that are on the screen all the time, and that I'm rowing with. And I feel like I'm reaching rowing goals instead of focusing on the calories. And so I'm focusing on different kinds of goals that I want for myself. I want to be able to do this, and I want to be able to do that, not I want to look like this. And so the key is finding something you like, and maybe a couple of things so you can go back and forth if you're getting tired of one. But like, I've continued rowing for several months now, and whereas I would start exercises and be done in a month, or less. And so now I've been running for several months and I love it and I still want to do it. And I feel like I have a day where I get like itchy if I can't be on my rower because I love it. And but it has nothing to do with weight loss anymore, which took me a long time. I think with Maria, I think I didn't even move for like the first year because I was like, I need to be in the right mindset. So yeah.
That's the other thing is trying to get the in the mindset of really wanting to do it, because it starts off with I have to find something to move. I have to. And it was that trying to make sure that I moved so many times a week. And it's really hard to get motivated sometimes, especially when you're relaxing. And then you have to start understanding that I'm allowed to relax. Yes, I need to move, but I also need to relax. And then that's when I find that I start spiraling down going, well, I've been relaxing and it's been so nice. I don't want to move. So motivation is hard, and it's hard to find body positive motivation out there.
Relaxing is one of the things Maria and I were talking about last week, because I always call myself lazy. And she's like, you've got a tough work schedule and you need to think of it as relaxing rather than being hard on yourself and saying being lazy, and then we talked about my dad was one of those types who was like, you're not being productive. What are you doing? So I've kind of also got the, like rebelling against that voice in my head, but yeah, I've tried, and my reasons for wanting to exercise, I've sort of uncoupled it from weight loss. But I want to age more gracefully. I'm at an age where you really have to start taking care of yourself if you want to be healthy in your later years. And I'm kind of excited. The thing that I saw was on PBS. It's called Eccentrics, and it sort of looks like Tai Chi, but like faster, a little bit faster, not super fast, but I'm still trying to find. Jenny, I think that's great that you found rowing and that's working for you so well. That's inspiring. I'm going to keep looking until I find something that is doable for me, but thanks for all your comments.
That's awesome, you guys. Thank you. I just have one quick question. Steph, not to put you on the spot, but did anything come up for you when Ginny shared her timeline that maybe for the first year she didn't move, right? And that can happen, right? Maybe it takes a year before it's really going to come from a healthy place. And it is inspiring to see Ginny at this place where like you found something you like genuinely love and crave. But Stephanie, did that make you did anything come up for you there?
Well, it kind of, it was good to hear that it can take a while to find that right fit and to get the right mindset about it, because I think I was pushing so hard to like solve the puzzle, and we still had other things to work on before I got to a place where I could start working on this. So yeah, it was good to hear that it took a year. I mean, it's good to know that things can take time and that it's okay and that I'll still get there at some point.
For sure. I mean, as we're coming out of diet culture, that pressure can still be really heavy for a while, like to move as a moral obligation, or to move because it's going to like directly impact your health, which we're learning that, yeah, movement does impact your health, but diet culture makes it seem like diet and exercise are the only two things that account for your health outcomes. And they do account for some of your modifiable health outcomes, but not in its entirety. There's a lot of other things that account for your health outcomes. So the more you learn, I think the more the further you divest yourself from diet culture, the further out of it you get, the more it alleviates some of that pressure to move from a place of like, I should be doing this, to where you can genuinely step back and be like, Do I want to? Is this an individual value of mine? And if so, then why is it important to me? What am I hoping to get out of it? And how can I find the type of movement that is going to be sustainable for me and actually enjoyable for me? So you're doing a great job, Stephanie, and you're exactly where you're supposed to be. So thank you for bringing that to group today. And thank you, you guys, for everything that you shared. So Ginny, you are next on my screen. Did you want to bring anything to us today?
I know I spoke with you a little bit about this, but I'm 2.5, how long have we been together? Like all of COVID almost.
Was it 2 years?
So yeah, but now I think I've been learning a lot about, I've been really sick this year. So it's been like a year of being on and off sick all the time. It started with mono and then COVID and then just kept going from there. And so as I've been talking to my functional doctor, we've been talking a lot about my immune system and inflammatory stuff. So what that means is I'm going to have to adjust some of the foods I'm eating. And that I know is going to like trigger everybody. We're like, and so for me, it was like, oh boy, can I do this? Because I didn't want to get into that mindset of I can't eat these things. I can't eat those things. And then it all goes to pot. So I was really talking to Maria, and I really appreciate the advice you gave me on that stuff, focus on adding and not subtracting. And this is about my health. This is about making my body feel better. It's not about weight loss at all. It's so I don't have to be sick. So it's like now my focus isn't on weight loss or being a certain size. I just want to be alive. So I don't want to be sick all the time, and I want to have a healthier life so that I can enjoy it. So this is my focus now. And so I've decided, instead of just jumping into it, I'm slowly incorporating more of those foods that are anti-inflammatory instead of just completely cutting or doing any of that stuff. So I'm just adjusting my lifestyle a little bit, and I'm actually loving it. So it's been, but again, it starts to trigger those old thoughts of, oh no, this is like a diet, but I'm not following a specific plan. I'm just including more anti-inflammatory foods, and and that's taking the place of other stuff I would have eaten before. But if I want to eat any of that stuff, I can. I just have repercussions. So, it's all available. Does that make any sense? Yeah.
Okay, I'll jump in and then I'll see if anybody else has thoughts. So Ginny, I think you are at a good spot with this, and I think you are far enough along in your journey to be able to do this from a place that's not going to, totally set you back. And it sounds like what you're making are just some gentle nutrition swaps, which is reasonable and still aligned with intuitive eating. And we did message about this before. So yes, like knowing that you are still allowed to eat any food you want as an autonomous human being, right? Like as a grown woman who can do what she wants with her body, you can, eat whatever you want. But you get to decide, what is it that I want? How do I want to feel after? And still, if you can, try to be sort of neutral towards food in that way of not like demonizing a food, like this makes me feel like crap, right? Like I feel like if we're starting to like attach a lot of emotion or drama to it, that could potentially take us back. So I would say, yeah, see if you can be like that food anthropologist that we learned about in intuitive eating, where it's just like almost like a science experiment. Like, oh, I'm so curious about how like my body is reacting to this food, right? And we just kind of neutrally observe that. And then of course, being kind to yourself, knowing that if you eat a food that doesn't agree with you, like you're still learning. And then definitely focusing on addition rather than subtraction, but also satisfaction. Remember the satisfaction factor of intuitive eating. So I would just encourage you not to eat a food because you're like, this is anti-inflammatory, but you don't actually like the taste, right? Liking the taste of the food is still going to be really important.
I feel for you. I am the world's pickiest eater, and I'm working with Maria on doing some food chaining to add more food into my life. And it's been a rocky road. For the most part, it's been pretty positive, but I've kind of stalled out now that it's summer. I'm trying to add tomatoes, and most of it's through tomato sauce, pizza sauce, stuff like that. And I'm finding that those heavier foods are so much harder to eat in the summertime. I'm not really sure what foods you're trying to add or subtract, but it's definitely an interesting journey trying to add foods and subtract foods, see how they play out in your day-to-day, food scheme.
I'm jealous of you because I'm allergic to tomatoes. I'm like listening to you talk about tomatoes. I'm like, oh, I want some.
I'm not a tomato person if it's not sauce. I mean, it's got to be pureed into a sauce, and trying to add those cubes has been just like pulling teeth for me. You can have the tomatoes. I'll give them to you.
I wish.
Jenny, I was going to say a good person for you to talk to would be Sarah Bryant. You might have met her on a group call before. She worked with me, I forget when she graduated, a couple months ago, but she's getting a master's in public health, so she knows quite a bit about this stuff, and she also had to remove certain foods recently due to health stuff. She had her gallbladder removed and like some other things, so she had to walk down this road relatively recently. And she always she loves talking about this stuff. So I feel like she'd be more than happy to jam out about this with you. So if you want to post either something in the Client Hub on Facebook, and we can tag her, I can tag her for you, or you can tag her. Or I'm certain that she'd be fine with you friend requesting her if you're not already friends and reaching out to her directly. But I think she would be a cool person for you to talk to. Yeah. Does anybody else have thoughts on that? Ashley, welcome back. No worries that you had to go grab that call. We're talking about making some dietary modifications after. So Jenny is far enough along on her intuitive eating journey. She's several years in now. We started working together at least a year and a half, 2 years ago. But she's at this point where she has to make some modifications to her diet for health reasons. So we're talking about how can we do that from a place that's not going to go back into diet mentality. And then prior to that, we were talking about with Steph, adding in some gentle movement and decoupling movement from weight loss. And then we were also talking about societal beauty expectations and the expectations of women to be thin and to be beautiful in our society. So that's our recap. So Ashley, if you want to jump in, or if anybody else wants to jump in, we can just kind of pause there before we move on.
Yeah, I can relate to at least two of those things. I've never had to make any modifications with my diet because of health reasons. So I would imagine that adds another layer to try and intuitively eat, because that's a food rule. So I haven't had to do that yet, but I was supposed to go to a doctor, and I was talking to Marie about this, and I was nervous because I know they focus a lot on kind of starting to cut out food groups. That's their philosophy, is a lot of health issues are connected to that. But I more wanted to go and get a blood panel done, see are my hormones okay? Why am I so tired? And I knew that was going to be something they were going to test for. So I had to cancel that appointment because I got sick, but I'm going to be going back at some point. And I am worried they're going to throw things at me if they do food testing and they tell me, hey, based off of what we got, you can't eat this and this and this. And I have no idea how I would handle that. That's the lucky thing, is that I don't know what food groups you've had to cut out or what modifications you've had to make. I do feel like there are a lot of options these days for alternatives, which makes it really nice. So I would probably just hop on Pinterest and see what I could find that's still satisfying and good. And yeah, as far as the last thing that you guys said, you talked about with just beauty standards in general, something I'm still struggling with. I've gone through this intuitive eating journey since February, and I've noticed for me, the eating part and the taking food off the pedestal part was easier than I thought it was going to be. But the body image stuff is definitely the hardest. So I'm still working through that, and things like I want to go to my gym's pool, but I don't want to like overthink the bathing suit I'm wearing, or like if I end up having a conversation with somebody there, I don't want to the whole time be thinking like I'm in my bathing suit and I feel really uncomfortable. So those are things that I'm definitely working on, and I know the first thing I want to do is actually get a bathing suit I feel good in, where I'm not thinking about that stuff. So that's kind of at the top of my list right now. And probably the main thing that I would say, like, I'm still very much working through. But yeah, since working with Maria, it's been nice not to be binging and feeling satisfied. And I feel a lot more in tune with my body. So I'm just excited to keep that going.
That's super good, Ashley. You're doing great. What about the bathing suit stuff, body image stuff, summer coming? Anybody have thoughts on that?
I haven't really had any issues with, as far as the body image, about, not wanting people to see me in a bathing suit or anything, but I have trying on clothes that, I've kept for years and years and years, trying to fit back into them. And I finally let that all go. But I've had issues on and off as far as going, and of course I do a lot of my shopping on Amazon because I hate going to the store, especially after COVID. But things come to me and I put them on, and there's times I'm sad that it doesn't fit and I have to send it back. And it's more of because of culture is not putting it in a size that I can fit into. And I'm like, well, it only goes up to this size and it doesn't fit. Or I don't know if you've noticed on Amazon, but you can see the exact same shirt sold by 3 different people who have 3 different sizing charts for it. And it drives me crazy trying to figure out what will and won't work. But it's, just going out and buying new clothes. It's liberating. It's a little bit sad at times, but other times it's great just to put it on and go, it doesn't matter what size I am. It fits well, and it looks good on me because it fits well, because I've gone back and looked and I'm like, these other clothes, yeah, I put them on, but they were so tight and they looked so horrible on me. And I'm like, just having clothes that fit me make me look better. Doesn't matter the size, it makes me look better because the clothes fit. And that is, it was getting to that point was hard, but now that I'm there again, it's just the whole, why don't they make this in one size bigger, but that's part of the weight privilege that I still come to terms with on a daily basis. And I've felt privileged since I've started this and realized that I do have that privilege. I'm now to the top end of that going, well, sometimes I'm not privileged enough for it. And it's hard. And I'm hoping that book will, let me get out some more anger as far as how society is pigeonholing me into trying to fit to their conformities. And it's day to day, everybody. Tomorrow is another day.
I've been really struggling with summertime clothes and wanting to go swimming and not being comfortable in a bathing suit. I don't even wear short sleeve shirts, and I wear 3/4 sleeve shirts and I wear capris, and that's as much as I expose. And Maria and I have talked about getting like exposing my elbows, like just working with that. But so I feel it, and I'm working on it, but that's partly why I'm reading that book too, is to try to change my mindset. But yeah, it's tough. I mean, I live in Michigan, in case you couldn't tell by my accent that Maria likes to point out to me once in a while. And we have the Great Lakes here, and you have to visit the Great Lakes during the summer. And I haven't gone swimming. I've gone to the lakes, but I haven't gone swimming in probably 5 years. And then that was in shorts and a t-shirt, which I now won't even wear. And I don't remember when that changed because I don't think my body size changed that much. So something else changed that made me feel more inhibited, I guess, to where I wouldn't do that. So I have a lot of work to do in that area for sure.
You'll get there. You'll get there. I mean, I'm sitting here in a tank top. You just have to, every morning look in the mirror, tell yourself that you're beautiful, and you will eventually believe it. You just have to keep at it. It's a struggle. And some days you're not as happy with your body as you were the day before, but always find something you love about your body. If it's just, I've got a great smile, I've got great eyes, my ears sit nicely on my head, tell yourself you love yourself every single day. It does make a world of difference.
We live in a culture where we get those magazines and say who wears it best and all that stuff. And just think about like everybody, if they're comfortable in it, then they're wearing it at their best. And we also are told that only certain people have a right to wear certain things. You can wear whatever you want. If you feel comfortable, then you should be able to wear it. If you're hot outside, then 3/4 length is not going to cut it. Like, you should be able to wear a tank top and a swimsuit because that's comfortable outside. You have every right to wear exactly what you want at any time. And I think culture has ingrained in all of us that we don't have a right to wear certain things, and that we look better when we cover things up if we're not the right way of the culture. But you have a right to do that. So just keep that in mind. Like, whatever has spoken to you and said that you do not have a right to do that, that's wrong. You do. And you'll be beautiful in your shorts and a tank top. I promise.
Thank you. I think so. Like, my last few years, I was in WW or Weight Watchers. And so I don't know if I was getting the messages from there so much because, like I said, something changed where I don't think my body size changed that much, but I was wearing shorts and t-shirts, and then I became unwilling to wear even that. And so I don't know. I'd have to do a little thinking to try to figure out where exactly those messages got louder. But thank you for all you've said, both of you. I appreciate it.
Steph, and there are clothes that you wear in your house that you don't wear in public. So let's say you wear t-shirts in your home, you expose your elbows in your home, but you don't do that when you're out in public. And I would just ask, like, am I willing to continue to prioritize other people's comfort over my own? Right? So, like, we hide our bodies to make other people comfortable, to make the fat phobes comfortable. So I would just know that you absolutely deserve to be comfortable, especially in the summer. Your body deserves to be comfortable. Your body's already working really hard for you just on a daily basis, just to keep you alive. And we don't want to have to make your body's job any harder than it already is to then have to regulate your internal temperature, right? So, I mean, your body will, right? Our bodies are always like on our team working to support us. But if we can, do our part to be on our body's team, give our body a little love back, right? And like not make it so hard on our bodies, knowing that wearing shorts, wearing crop tops, wearing whatever you want, those aren't things that are just reserved for thin people, right? Like going and swimming in Lake Michigan, that's not an activity that's only reserved for thin people. You're allowed to do that too. So I think you guys made some really good points there about like wearing whatever you want is your right, and doing the activities that sound genuinely fun and enjoyable to you, like you can, and you deserve that. You deserve pleasure and fun. And to disqualify yourself from that just because you don't live in a body that is currently the ideal, that's not fair to you, right? Like you just deserve a better life than that. But at the same time, we can hold both, right? We can also validate like how incredibly hard that is to have to live in a marginalized body and do the things that you just want to do freely. Like that, it is challenging. But that's why we work on exposure, like in a safe way, right? So when we're at home, like we wear the bathing suit at home until we're comfortable enough to be like, okay, like this feels all right. And then we can start to do it in public. So it's things like that where we can like take baby steps to where it won't feel like such a big leap, because these things are hard. They are hard, which is why every single one of you is incredibly brave for being here and doing this work. It's some of the hardest but most worthwhile work that you'll ever do.
It kind of puts a different perspective, or gives me a different perspective to think of it as making my body work harder by being overdressed, on hot days. I mean, we've talked about some of these things before, and I do wear tank tops when I'm home by myself and things like that. But and I was gonna mow the lawn in a t-shirt, but I didn't. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot swimming around in my head right now. So thank you for what you said.
Oh yeah, it's a lot. And we can talk more about it in our one-on-ones and, all that. But yeah, maybe even just wearing the t-shirt when you're mowing the lawn, like if that would feel like a next step for you. It doesn't mean you have to like wear it to work, but like if that feels a bit safer, maybe that could be a goal. I don't know, we can keep talking about it, but that's an idea.
I want to share something yesterday that actually like unexpectedly had me like spiral a little bit. I have a really hard time wearing shorts because they just ride up. Like biker shorts, like everything rides up. No matter the fabric, my shorts ride up. They literally have to be essentially capris for that to not happen. So I was like, let's see if Google has some solutions, because I want to wear shorts and just not have this be a thing. So I'm like, maybe there's some piece of clothing or tape or I don't know, something. And instead I like found a bunch of really non-helpful like discussion forums where people were like, someone would ask this question like, hey guys, what can I do about my shorts riding up? And so many of the comments were like, if your shorts are riding up, like you need to lose weight, you're unhealthy. Like it was really intense. And I was like, I just wanted to see if there was something I could put under my shorts. Like I'm not, I don't know how old these articles were, but it was like several of them, like some Reddit things and then Quora or whatever that website is. And I was like, this is exactly why people now don't want to wear shorts at all, because they're already like, for me, it's already like a hard enough thing to actually go out there and wear shorts. And then when you have that like physical reminder of like, oh, these are, maybe they're not meant for my body because they are just riding up, and then you're doing the pull down every 5 seconds. And I was on a walk when this had happened. I was like, I'm going to wear shorts on my walk today. And they just rode up the whole time. Then I had like Chub Rub. So I like ordered stuff on Amazon that's literally called like Chub Rub, and you rub it in between your thighs. So I'm like, that might help me like not have that as an excuse. But it just kind of sucked to see like comments like that where they're like, your shorts are too small. I'm like, I could wear shorts 5 times larger than the size I am. They will still ride up. Like that's not the issue. It's just that, I don't know, my thighs are bigger or something, and I just would like a solution to how I can actually wear this and not have this problem, instead of seeing comments about, well, you're just fat. Well, just because your thighs don't touch, like that doesn't mean anything. So that was like a little triggering and kind of got me angry, and just not what I was expecting to see. It was not helpful. So if anyone has something that they own or like know a solution where I can actually wear shorts without them constantly riding up, I'm very open.
The only kind that I found is, it's basically for exercise, are the ones with like the biker shorts built into them. If I have the same issue, so if you find a solution, please let me know. Because I do want to wear shorts. It's just so uncomfortable when they ride up like that. I totally get it.
Yeah, you're not the only two. I have that same problem. I always make sure I get the longer ones as far as the biker shorts. I don't get the short ones. I always get the ones that are just above the knees. And even when I buy regular shorts, I always make sure that they have at least a 7-inch inseam or longer, because anything lower than that, it's just all hanging in my crotch. Yeah, there's nothing you can do about it. And the hardest one is the gym shorts, because I can get gym shorts that go down to your knees and I'm constantly pulling everywhere. I'm like, ah. And yes, and I don't have Chub Rub. I think the one I have is called Body Glide. But I wear that same stuff because if you get them too long, then they're hanging down and your skin's rubbing together before they bunch up. So yes, we're all there. That is not a fat, thin, that is just the way your body is made, not having anything to do with individuals.
It's funny, in my search for this, I like happened to find a picture of Rihanna like pulling her shorts down. I was like, if Rihanna has this problem, like this is not something to be ashamed of. It's just frustrating. But then I have friends who were like, oh man, I wish my thighs looked, I have stick thighs. So like everyone has their complaints, but I'm like, well, at least you don't have the wardrobe malfunction of like, it's all shoved up there. It's just super awkward and uncomfortable when you're just trying to walk around your neighborhood and not give people a show.
Yeah, that's super annoying. I have the same exact problem. And I think Angie makes a good point that this can happen to people of all body sizes. So if this is happening to you, don't make it mean I'm too fat or something is problematic with your body. I've used Body Glide when I was an endurance runner. I used to use that. And you know, it's kind of a question of, a lot of times when I'm walking around my neighborhood, I would love to be wearing shorts if they didn't ride up like that, because it would make me not feel so hot. But instead I just wear yoga pants because they're more comfortable from that standpoint. Like they're not going to ride up and then my legs are going to rub together and like start to get that like rug burn feeling. But so, I mean, that still feels like a compassionate choice for me though, of like, I'm going to wear the yoga pants, even though going back to what we said before, like that might make my body have to work harder to like regulate my temperature. However, I'm going to choose that today over the other feeling that I really don't want of my legs rubbing together and then me having to pull down my shorts the entire time I'm trying to go on this walk. Like that's not going to be an enjoyable walk for me, you know? So it's like kind of just choosing the lesser of two evils of whatever feels right for you that day, but always coming back to the fact that your body is not the problem here, right?
The clothes need to fit the body doesn't need to fit the clothes.
That's I understand why that was triggering too, Ashley. That's so unfortunate that that was all that nonsense that you came across on the internet.
And that totally is nonsense because everybody gets that. Like it's, if you don't get that, then great, good for you. But the majority of us do. I still don't. Yeah, I wish I could find a pair of shorts that didn't ride up. I wore leggings today on my walk just for that very reason.
Okay, I think we bounced around to everybody except Angie. Angie, did you have anything in particular that you wanted to bring to group today?
No, I think everybody's kind of hit it, the exercising and the body image and picking out new clothes, trying to get things that are comfortable. Yeah, I think pretty much hit everything that I've been struggling with for the past couple weeks.
Okay. All right. Well, what else, you guys? Looks like we have like 15 or 20 more minutes. So what else is on your mind, or what like specific questions do you have, or specific things that you could use support in? Is there anything?
Not me.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think me either. I think just everything we've talked about is always kind of relevant for me. But I do have to leave in like 2 minutes. I have another meeting that I have to get to. Um, yeah, I think the short thing was like the freshest on my brain. So I'm just going to keep looking for alternatives and just keep trying to find clothes that I feel good in. I know throughout this process I've had to like go up a size in things, and that was like really mentally challenging. But I'm like, I should have done this a long time ago because I was always feeling suffocated in my clothing. And then to realize it doesn't matter. Like it looks a lot better. I feel better. I actually get excited to wake up in the morning and go to my closet and know that I'm going to have things that fit me. Um, and I got rid of all the stuff that didn't. So that was really necessary. And that continues to just have a really big impact on how I feel every day. It kind of takes like, if I'm having a bad body image day, it's a lot less often. And I really think that was a big reason why. Is just taking that advice of like, clean your closet out, just go up a size, who cares, and just feel good. So I used to not really shop a lot in person, and I have been more because I know my actual size now. So when I go to the rack, I don't start with the smaller version that I know is not going to fit. I just go for the one that I know is going to fit.
That's good stuff, Ashley. I know that you have to go, but thank you so much for coming today. I hope this was helpful. I know that just having a refresh, I feel like can be so helpful to just keep us in a good headspace with food in our bodies. And even just to know like, oh, there are 4 other women out there in the world who like know what I'm going through and know what I've been through. It can be so supportive. So I'm glad you came. I hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, thank you so much. And the last thing I'll say is you're right, it's important to have these check-ins because without this group, I don't really have people in my life that are like this. When I'm out there in the world, it's still very much like morality attached to like eating right, and it's everywhere all the time. Every time I go out to a lunch or a coffee or whatever, it's like, oh no, I can't have this. Or so it's just a lot. And I sometimes need to be reminded of this perspective because it's hard not to get wrapped up in it and feel like I'm morally inferior because I'm the one getting a cookie while they get an egg white scramble or something. So yeah, this is important to me. And I know there's another one coming up, right, Maria?
Yeah, and the 27th.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'll be there, and thank you guys so much. Have a good day.
Thanks, Ashley.
Bye.
Bye. If you find those shorts, let us know.
Yes, I will.
Yeah, let us know. That's so funny to think about getting the cookie or getting the egg white scramble when you really want the cookie. It's like, okay, but you're going to be the one who's happier and also not binging later. Like, that's the thing, right?
Well, it was funny. I was at a dinner for moms, it was a month ago, and it was a taco dinner, which is really funny. It was a taco dinner. And everybody was making a salad with the taco stuff. I'm like, I'm having the shell. Like, I want the shell. So
Yeah.
I was the only one at my table eating a real taco because they're all talking about, oh, this is high carb. This is this carb. And I'm watching like this and I'm watching that. And I'm like, I'm having my taco with meat and cheese and lettuce and we're going at it. And I enjoyed my dinner. Well, they all talked about their diets. I was just sitting over here like, I'm not on a diet and I'm enjoying myself over here with my real food. So
Proud of you.
oh, it was so much more fun.
I love how she said that they were feeling morally superior because they were getting the egg white omelet and she was getting the cookie. I would have thought that she would have been morally superior for getting the cookie.
There is an element, I think, to some people where it flip-flops when you become an intuitive eater and then you're like, I'm doing the intuitive eating thing. But I think it's helpful to remove morality from food either way, right? And just choose the food that you want, that sounds good to you, that's supportive of your physical and your mental health. All right, y'all. Anything else? Good? Okay.
I just wanted to say that I'm so glad we have these groups. Like, these are rejuvenating. It's just very good to have these. So thank you for providing them.
You're welcome.
Yes, it's always good to know that somebody else out there is actually going through it, and it's not just you hear somebody else is going through it, but you're actually talking to them.
Yeah, I'm always a little amazed at no matter what I say, everybody can relate to it. And no matter what everybody else says, I can relate to it on some level. So yeah, it is refreshing to know there are other people who have been through it or are going through it or still struggling with it, for sure.
That's so funny. I've gotten notes from clients like over the years who are like, I'm stunned by your non-reactivity or by other people's non-reactivity in group of when you say something about binge eating or body image and everybody's just like, yeah, like I completely get it. Like nobody's like, right? Like it's like, we're all like, yes, been there, like binged on the thing or like whatever it is, right? So it's so helpful to have a safe place to put our experiences. It can be so healing. But also like you're totally right. I think all of us continue to be surprised at just like, oh, you've been through that too. Like that wasn't just a me thing that I've been carrying shame for forever.
Well, think about it. Can you imagine back when you were in diet culture, telling somebody that you binged? I mean, that was the deep, dark secret that you didn't want anybody to know. You know, you hide the evidence in the trash, you pick up trash, you throw it down there, you put it on top because you don't want anybody to know. I lived alone and I still did it in case somebody came in my house to throw something away.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine talking about these things in diet culture. I mean, none of this stuff, even the shorts writing up, which has nothing to do with diet culture, but it's still something you don't talk about when people are absorbed in that thinness.
Which is so funny because when you look around, most people are probably dieting or on some spectrum of disordered eating, like the majority, which means, I mean, and even just research shows that the majority of them are also binging at some point. So it's like they're doing it too. We're just not talking about it.
We talked about binging at Weight Watchers one Saturday, and the leader kept saying, but you're allowed to have any food you want. So why do you eat too much of it? Like if somebody had Oreos or whatever, and they couldn't just eat 2 Oreos or whatever was allowed with their points that day, and they instead would eat a whole row or whatever the case was. And he would say, but you're allowed to have it. Why do you eat too much of it? And everybody was just sort of like silenced. And then people would try to say like, well, because you can't have it, that's why you eat too much of it. And he's like, but you can have it. That's my point. I mean, we went in circles for the whole session, and it just sort of like shamed everybody.
That's so
Because I'm starving to death. That's why I ate the whole row.
That is so gaslighty. And also like you can have it, but like, can you really? Because you eat 1 Oreo and then like, that's like half your points for the day, right? It's still restriction and there's always consequences. So unless you have unconditional permission, it doesn't count. Like, I hate that they're like, but you can have it, like, but not without consequence. So that's why you're binging. Ugh.
Just the freedom to eat whatever I want and to actually taste and savor it as opposed to eating it as fast as I can. I used to have bad dairy issues. And now that I've been doing this intuitive eating, I don't have any issues with dairy. And the same with orange juice. It got to the point where I could have just, a little bit of orange juice and my stomach would just burn for hours and hours and hours. And yesterday I had 2 big glasses of orange juice and didn't have one bit of issue.
Yeah.
It was just amazing the difference between focusing on the calorie eating and focusing on the food eating.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's really cool too, the further along you get in this journey where you continue to find little positive things pop up of like, oh, this doesn't happen anymore, or you know, that's a good example, I think, Angie, of like, and that's a surprising outcome of intuitive eating, like foods that you know, and of course it's different for everybody, right? Everybody's journey is different. But I'm glad that is a positive outcome for you. And Ginny, I wish you luck on this next leg of your journey. I know that that's going to be kind of challenging, but we're here for you as you work through it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Steph, I'll see you in a couple hours. Angie, I'll see you next week. So we're good. We have group again on the 27th. Yeah, we get lots of FaceTime this month. All right, you guys. Well, I adore each of you. I'm so happy you came today. Reach out if you need anything, and I'll talk to y'all soon.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.